This is the Everyday Hustle Show, where our number one priority is self-development.
Each week, we will dive into insightful topics that encourage you to push your thinking beyond average.
Smash that subscribe button and tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Everyday Hustle Show. Tonight is the 1 year anniversary. Yeah, that's right. One year.
Holy shit, dude. 1 year of the podcast?
1 fucking year.
Wow.
We got some OGs. We had Dennis that was on the second episode and Matty P on the third episode. So we got some OGs in the house. We figured it'd be just right to go ahead and kind of bring this full circle and have some OG members. So we're super excited, man. It's crazy to kind of look back on the year, looking through some posts and kind of seeing the progress. But like we've been doing recently, we're doing the problem solution. Tonight we have Maddie and Dennis going to go ahead and jump in on this as well. But first, Drew, go ahead and give us your problem solution.
All right. So listen, I hate it when people say that they're going to do something and they don't do it.
Oh, shit. Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying, boys?
That's me.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, your word is all you have.
Word is bond.
And what it boils down to is I would respect you more if you told me the truth and you would just say, like, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. I have other plans, no matter what it is. It's just, especially in business, because people are always so quick to just say, yeah, I'll get it done. Yeah, I'll get it done. I'll do this. I'll do that. And then they just never do. And then you end up having to ask for it 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So really, I don't even know what my solution for that is. All I can do is make sure that I personally, if I say that I'm going to do something, I actually back up what I'm saying. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. And then we wanted to, like I said, we want to have Dennis and Maddie get on this. So Dennis, I'm going to go ahead and turn to you. What's your problem or solution that you've had recently?
I guess we'll just go in this past week. We were talking, and it's hard to figure out what an actual problem solution, because I feel like every day we run into a problem, whether it's, the traffic on 95 or we're going to take the turnpike and be a little happier that day. And we were talking beforehand, and I just threw one out that was super basic, and Drew just said, say that. And, instead of it being work related, which, is super easy, it's something as dumb as it may sound. Like, I woke up later than I wanted to be, and I needed to get to work. I hit the coffee button on my coffee pot. I open up my fridge. I grab the creamer. I give it an old shake, and the cap was open, and the creamer just right out on my face, down my shirt, into the laces of my shoes, all over the floor. And I just, yelled a big fuck, like really loud. Yeah. And I looked, and I was like, that could technically ruin someone's day, like how you start your day out. But I literally just wet a paper towel, botched it off my shirt, cleaned it up off the floor as best as I can, and went about my day. Like, that was the solution.
Fountain.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, that my problem was I got creamer all over myself, and how did I fix it? Am I going to let it ruin my day? No, I literally, as simple as that is, I just cleaned it up real quick, got out the door, and made it to where I had to be on time, and that was my problem I wanted to go with.
Yeah, it's crazy because that would probably ruin like a week for some people. You know what I'm saying? Like, just let it snowball into...
Especially if you had like a crispy shirt on or something.
Dude.
Oh, it was crispy, dude. It was like I got it from the dry cleaner the day before. I was excited, like a kid first day of school. I got my outfit out. You're real excited.
Down the side.
Yeah, that would fucking suck.
Matt, what do you got?
So I got an interesting one, man. First things first, congratulations on the 1 year, man. That's wild. Definitely happy for you guys. I know the hard work that was put in, so I can respect that on a level of being able to identify. But I kind of had a crazy one. I know we were, I was thinking about a problem on when you guys originally reached out, and I was like, I really don't have one. And of course, Friday I got hit in the side of the face on some personal stuff. So I'm kind of wheeling and dealing, the Everyday Hustle Show, man. You know what I mean? And doing the Everyday Hustle, I was in my car and kind of riding around, on business and a break, and just, kind of keeping it moving. And I get a phone call from my brother. And, I got a good relationship with my brother. I'm like, yo, what's going on? He's like, nothing, man. Did you see the Sixers game? We're from Philly, so I'm a big Sixers fan. So, we got to talk about that, like regular brother stuff. And then he's like, yeah, I went by and I went and seen Dad yesterday. I'm like, oh, you go there once a week, right? And they're like, he's like, nah, he's in a hospital. And I'm like,
oh shit.
wow, well, what happened? He's like, he had a heart attack. So now I'm like bobbing and weaving in my car, man, because I'm like freaked out, The good news is everything's okay. It was a minor heart attack, so my dad's fine. He's out of the office. Everything's great. I talked to him, so everything's good. But the problem is the difference between reaction and response.
Yeah.
So the way I reacted was, Rick, why would you tell me like that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Could you have not have called me because this happened 2 days prior?
Right.
So how do I know if it wasn't a downward spiral, that I couldn't make arrangements to get home?
Yeah.
So I was like, I was sad that something happened to my father. I was mad, and then I was angry at my brother for not telling me. So now I'm like going nuts. Now this is in the midst of the storm at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's noon, which is most people's lunch break. My job, it's when the phone rings the most. You take a bite of a sandwich,
right.
you got oil and vinegar running down your lip from the sandwich, and your phone starts ringing. That's how my life is, right? So my phone just going off the hook, and I'm like, I can't answer right now. So the solution was, and it kind of just happened, and when I look back, I'm like, wow, I was a little solution-based. The solution was to really pull myself back for a little bit. I ended up pulling the car off to the side of the road into like a McDonald's and just like chilling in the parking lot and kind of kicking it for 10 minutes. I didn't have like an anxiety attack or anything like that. Just a couple deep breaths because I didn't know if I was going to, have a reaction to somebody else that called my phone that didn't know what was going on in my personal life. So, like I said, everything's good with my dad. I was able to tidy everything up with my family, so it's been good. But I'm glad that I was able to kind of pull myself and dissect myself away from a situation that could have got a lot worse. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
Because in the big picture, you're bobbing and weaving, but where are you going?
Yeah, but I'm like, because the minute he said that, I'm like, swerve, like, dude, it rocked me, man. I have a great relationship with, and of course, my brother says heart attack, and then he goes on and says, dude, it was a minor heart attack, like everything fine.
Like those two words shouldn't be in the same.
I'm like, dude, heart attack is a fully loaded sentence. Did he hit a telephone pole when he had it? Like what? Like I had no idea what the outcome was. He's like, yeah, I went to see that. Like I'm like, kind of fill me in a little bit as if, because I live on like the opposite side of the country, basically. You kind of gotta let me know. But like I said, we were able to communicate on a level that was the right way to do things rather than, yell out certain words and get upset because it really wasn't about me. It was about my dad. Right. So it was cool to pull myself away and not be able to react, like I said, to other people calling my phone because we got a lot of accounts going on. It's at the end of the year. Things are moving. So it's like, it's kind of going on and it was just at the wrong moment, but everything worked out. So I'm glad.
No, I'm good to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll dive into all the work stuff. But Christian, what you got for the week?
Yeah, so I won't get too into it because it's not like a lot of details that kind of play into it. But basically, what happened is I went on a vacation. I went on the cruise. I talked about it, and it was awesome. It was great. Turns out that at my job, the way PTO works out, I have to wait to 6 months and then start accruing time as the longer I stay. So I thought as soon as I hit 6 months, I get the PTO and I'm good. So now I'm finding out after, as soon as I get back, I get a text, and I only was able to get 2 days of PTO. So that was for last check. So, Christmas time, I got a lot of stuff going on right now financially. And so I was freaking out at first. I was like, fuck. I was like, damn, I only have, what is that, $100 and something bucks? I'm like, or $200. And so I was kind of freaking out at first, but then, I've talked about this too, but the last month I've been doing a lot of fucking meditation and a lot of stuff to kind of slow myself down. And, after I kind of had that initial reaction internally, I basically just kind of started thinking, okay, what can I do to make money in terms of what skills do I have? So I'm a painter. I can paint on the side. So I immediately, I put out a Facebook post. I started reaching out to people. I literally was texting people hey, look, if you or someone needs, a painter, I can get free quotes. I can work with you on a budget, and literally just reached out to a bunch of people. And, unfortunately, nothing really. I mean, there's a couple prospects, but nothing really transpired that day. But And it ended up working out. I have money saved up. I wasn't planning to dip into it, but it nothing crazy. But the whole point is just that, that as far as everything that I'm kind of saving up for and what I need to pay for financially in this next month, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But I just basically got into that mindset of what can I do to have a solution? And so it was Yeah, it was different, man. Especially when it comes to finances, it can be a little bit more scary, but
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it worked out.
For sure. All right, so before we dive into the old meat and potatoes here, this episode is brought to you by D Squared. And normally, we talk about D Squared and what they do and their web design and business branding and all that stuff, but they got a special going on actually right now, which is if you refer someone to them for a website, you're going to get a $100 gift card.
Ooh.
So, and they're doing that for the holidays. So obviously, we always support small business. And normally, with the deal with the sponsor and the podcast is you can get 10% off of your invoice if you are a business or you need services from them. But now this is open to anyone. So anyone who refers, you don't have to be looking for a website or something yourself. All you have to do is bring them a potential client for a website, and then you can get you both get a $100 gift card. So.
Nice.
But yeah, if anybody wants to check out their work, if you go to the everydayhustleshow.com, our website was completely redone by them. And he actually did my website, which is andrewnise.com. And if you want to pick up a shirt for the podcast, you can do that under the shop tab. So yeah, that's our little sponsorship deal we got going on right now. And let's just dive right into it. So we kind of rolled into the problem and solution, but I really want to introduce our guests tonight and tell you a little bit about them. And the whole point of this episode is we're reflecting back on 1 year.
Yep.
Now, 1 year ago, us four plus Jesse, who isn't here right now, we're sitting in not the same room, but the same style setting. We talked about a lot of good stuff. So obviously we got Dennis here. Dennis is hailing from South Jersey.
Get it.
South Jersey.
Get it.
He claims he's from Atlantic City, but
No.
I really don't think that he is. So, but anyway, he has actually the number one downloaded episode on the podcast.
Hey.
232 overall downloads. That means
Wow.
232 individual human beings listen to what you had to say. Dennis has been happily married for 6 years, has a small group of friends that bring value to one another. He's been responsible for his own paycheck for the last 6 years, managed over $10 million in advertising spends for multiple companies, helped build profitable contact solutions for large businesses in California and Florida. And most recently, he has helped a childhood friend of his achieve his goal of opening a small business in New Jersey. So obviously, he's not all about building up himself. He loves to help build up the people around him and his life. He's also dealt with some issues, in regarding to family health issues. But he's really focused this year on not losing sight for what he needs to do for himself. So everybody, help me welcome Dennis.
Yeah. Clap. Get
Clap for
it.
myself.
All right, Dennis, how you feeling tonight?
I'm all right, man. Thanks.
All right, and in the other corner, we got
Hey.
Matt hailing. He says he's from Philadelphia, but I feel like everybody from Pennsylvania says they're from Philadelphia. With 172 overall downloads.
Get
Are you really
it.
from Philly?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. We'll take it.
172
Actually from
overall
Philly.
downloads. That's the top second downloaded
Get
episode
it.
of all time on the Everyday Hustle Show statistics page. Prides himself in being a homeowner at the age of 25, and
Yeah.
he's heavily involved or really loves the real estate market.
Yeah.
Last completed grade in high school was the 9th grade. Okay. But now he's currently 2 semesters away from his finance degree at Florida Atlantic
Get it.
University here in South Florida. All right. He had a major job change in early 2017, right when we started the podcast and had him on the show. And it's going well. We're going to dive into that. But he also prides himself on doing what he says he's going to do, kind of like my problem was in the beginning of the episode. But he shows up for friends and families no matter what. And I can attest to that for sure because he's sitting right here supporting what we're doing. But he afforded him to build long-lasting relationships. So everybody, help me welcome Matt.
Get it.
How do you guys feel about those intros? Holy
Dude, you
shit.
were really
They start
fired up. Felt like it was,
shadow boxing.
it felt like it
Holy
was like
shit, boys.
a title match.
I'm ready
going
for Ivan
on.
Drago to come through the door.
Right.
I work on another podcast, and she it's called The Stamp of Approval, and she does real estate. But she's a little bit older than we are, and she definitely has a network of professional people that we always interview on the podcast. And every show, I'm taking stuff from her, right? I'm taking stuff from her and applying it into our podcast because I really like what she's doing. But she'll have every guest write a bio, and then she takes it and puts her own little twist on it. So I started doing that with all of our guests, and even Dennis said, like, it's hard. It's hard to write things about yourself. It's hard to write good things about yourself. It's hard to speak highly of yourself. So I did that little exercise so that way we can all get out of ourselves.
Yeah.
You
know,
bamboozled
even me
us.
hearing it out loud.
You bamboozled us.
You
No. Whoop, whoop.
Hey.
But I thought it was really cool, and I like doing the intros, and no matter who we have on the show, we're going to be doing that moving forward because it really, I think about when you guys send me that stuff, I think about some of the things in my life that I've done, and it really just it makes you see it from a different point of view,
Yeah, when you're in the everyday hustle, it's hard to actually.
Take a
we're our
second.
own worst critics. It's
Right,
hard to see your own milestones, things like that. It just keeps moving.
Yep. So we got some stuff that we're going to reflect on from last episode and some new stuff. Christian's got some things that he wants to ask you guys based upon your some things that we talked about in the last episode. So he's going to start with that, and we'll go from there.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, great intros, man. But starting with Matt. So on the last episode, obviously we talked about a bunch of stuff, but you mentioned at one point that you believe you should always pay for stuff if you have it financially. So not just getting like credit cards or whatever, and
Right.
kind of putting yourself in a sticky situation. So, just a quick question: you got a new car.
I seen you rolling up in that luxury SUV, dog. I see you out there.
Let's talk about it real quick.
Riding.
How did you get that? Let's
So
talk about
I
it.
got the car from so I bought it used.
Okay.
I bought it used, so I didn't want to go get a brand new car that was unaffordable.
Right.
So I went and bought a used car, something that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Did some research with some friends of mine, and I got a diesel engine, so I know they
Ooh.
last forever.
Yeah.
And it was able to get the number that I wanted. I've never been a believer that, a certain car makes you a man.
Right.
However, I do like certain things,
Yeah,
so I'm
yeah.
not going to be a liar and say that I don't like, nice things because I
Right.
do. However, I try to be realistic in my approach and be able to do something that's going to keep me financially whole while doing it. So up until the longest time, I don't think this is the first time I drove a car that was newer than 8 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, I made the move. Traded in the old car, got this one, and here we are.
That thing's fresh, man.
It is, man. I
pay
keep it clean.
cash for the
I
SUV?
No, did not pay cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did take out a little loan, but I'm going to pay it off kind of quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we
Yeah,
are.
that thing's fresh, man.
Thanks, man.
So if you haven't guessed by now, this is like a little bit of a ball buster here. So
I knew
Dennis,
it was coming, man. I knew it was coming. I was like, I'm sick. I can't come. Call
So
us out.
Dennis, you said in the last one that you built a brand new BMX last year.
BMX bike.
Yeah,
bike.
BMX bike. Come on.
Okay, so how much have you actually used it in the last year?
Yeah, how has your riding progressed this year, my dude?
Okay.
Pegs on
so-
the back.
Yeah, homie haulers. Yeah. I only ride on one side for my one-legged girlfriend. So I guess I haven't ridden as much as I would like. Right. A few times that we've gone out, it's great, and I've had this bike to be able to go out and have a good time. But if I didn't have that bike, right, I guess it's the value of the times that I've actually gone out on it. Because I got that bike last year, I was able to make a trip, and I went to Cleveland. I flew to Cleveland, took 4 days to myself, and all my friends that I grew up riding with in New Jersey, they road tripped to Cleveland, and we rode this
shit.
really crazy skate park that I've seen growing up in videos, everything, like a bucket list type thing. I was like, if I
Yeah.
ever even saw this place, I would be happy. But because I got that bike and I knew everything was going to work, I was confident to put it in a bag, get on a plane, and fly to Cleveland. And that moment alone, those 3 days of riding, like made up for everything, like the years I didn't ride prior
Yeah.
to it, going forward. And I just got a text the other day that we're doing it again
Oh,
in
shit.
March. But this time I'm going to New Jersey. I'm going to do the road trip with them.
That's
Shit, I forgot
sick.
about that, Christian.
Yeah, Drew,
You just fucking shut us down.
Drew was trying to bamboozle you right now.
And,
No, and you know what else was cool? Like after you got the bike, there was like a 1 or 2 month period where like, and you could go on my youtube.com/ASNYCZ, and you could check videos of Dennis riding his bike at a few different skate parks. So like, we took that outlet of you getting the bike, and then me trying to create more videos. We hung out together, and we were at the skate park. We were doing this. We were making videos. You were riding your bike. and like there was a couple of just 30-year-old guys just showing the skate park.
Right.
A bunch of like 15-year-old kids riding scooters, and then there's us. You know? But it was fun.
With some heavy duty equipment.
It was fun.
Yeah,
All right,
you had to sign a waiver that one day when we went there because his camera was so heavy duty and like real deal. They're like,
really?
"What news outlet are you with? What's
Yeah,
this?" And he
she's
had to
like-
sign a press waiver that he wasn't going to
That's
sell that
official
somewhere.
right there.
She was saying that because people steal the ideas and the layout of the park. Yeah. So she didn't.
Damn,
she
I didn't-
wanted to make sure I wasn't going to steal her her layout for the skate park. Makes sense. All right. So, Dennis, you said in the
Back to
second
back.
episode,
You said.
Back
That-
to back.
False.
I feel like, am I a talk show? Am I talking
Yeah,
like a talk
yeah.
show
I
host
love
right now?
it. I love it.
It's like the
You
newlywed
said-
game.
That you don't set goals because of the feeling of not hitting your mark. You hit your to-do list daily. You said that from now on, you said at that very point in time, that in 1 year from that time that you'll be in a whole different place than you were then. Tell us where you are now and if your trajectory was right on where you thought you might be.
Yeah, completely different spot altogether. Like when we talked last year, I was in the middle of working a contract with a company. It was the biggest deal I ever closed in my life. It was really beyond me how I even thought I got into that position. From that point, that dissolved, not from any doing of my own, not like I didn't do a good job. It was, higher up decision to consolidate the company. I left there and it was a 2-year agreement. So I had my mindset, I know I'm going to make X amount over this time, and this is how I can live my life to get myself wherever until the next opportunity comes. And to touch on like the to-do list, things like that, I literally have gone through 4 notebooks now. I just bought another one the other day where every day I'm putting, first thing I wake up, I'm writing my to-dos, and a lot of them carry over from the day before, and I just want to feel the feeling of like crossing one out from that day. I have my things set up and knocking them off the list, but I made and I'm actually like contradicting from last year because I started to get a grasp because that deal was so big and so grandiose. I thought I was going to be in a much crazier position at 1 years old that, dude, I'm making so much money. Like, it doesn't matter. I could do whatever. I can go to the Gucci store and, cop some things. It doesn't matter because I'm making so much. And I kind of, when that left, I was in a spot, like a void for a couple months. And now if we fast forward to the end of the year, I have a whiteboard in my room where it's like 0 credit card debt, right? Pay off mortgage quicker or sell the house and take equity, right? Put on new garage door, things like that. And that now is like my goal list because that's like a static thing on the wall where when I come in and I see it, I'm like, what did I do to do that? Oh, I want to go buy a new knife for my collection. No, I'm not going to. You know what I mean? Uber Eats. No, I'm okay. I'm going to make a roast beef sandwich. And not that I'm not in a position to order Uber Eats, you know what I mean? But I want to actually do things to get that feeling of accomplishment because I wrote them on the wall for a reason,
Right.
That's fine.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been an interesting year. To say
Very,
the least,
man. Wild.
Like us four are, sitting here at this point in time and where we were this time or this date last year is just very, very different. Not bad, just different.
Yeah.
And Matt,
Hey,
on your
You get
16-month goal
it.
list was selling your house and finishing school. Now, obviously, from the introduction, we know that you're close to finishing school. Tell us a little bit about your progression with school. I know that your GED was a big accomplishment for you. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on in college, and have you hit that mark of selling your house?
So, 2 great questions. The one I really don't want to answer, and that's school. Because school is, it's something that's been very good to me. I've learned a lot. I definitely needed it. Not in the sense of, a specific degree is going to open, appointed doors or anything like that. However, it's been able to polish me in an area where I never thought that I would be.
Yeah.
More of like a street kid, kind of like that was a lot of the things I was raised on. So, as far as, being able to be in a professional setting and understanding a lot of things, it's something that I definitely needed. With that said, I am still in school, so that goal is going to carry over to the next list. That's been my strategy. Reason being because, work has afforded me to, really move up in my specific position that I'm in now. And there's a lot of time where I'm not able to make classes. So it's kind of a weird algorithm or equation, what have you, to be able to fit it into my schedule. A, I have a specific amount of classes to take. B, I have to take a specific class, and it has to fit in my schedule. So, without pointing the finger solely on myself for not bombarding my daily schedule, I kind of took a back seat. I am still taking classes, but as far as the high volume of classes during the semester, I've kind of, doing 1 or 2 for now. So hopefully, if I'm on by next year, I'll be well walked and through the hat and the cap in the air. Second question, the sell in the house. No, I haven't. So.
Still got 6
yeah,
months.
that's a good one. But
yeah,
so there was a lot of equity in my neighborhood at that time when I was talking, and I probably should have pulled the trigger then. And where I'm at, so I'm on like the Delray Boynton Beach cusp. I'm east. So where I'm at, it just, it's probably $50,000 lighter than it is, or it's $50,000 light now than it was. So when I seen that at the time that we were on there, I'm like, yo, it's going to keep going north. So yeah, in 18 months, I'm going to rip this thing off and I'm out. However, it went the opposite direction. So now I'm kind of staying put and like I said, trying to make realistic decisions and being as responsible as I can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So some of it's
That's
unfortunate.
Because my house, the value of my house keeps climbing up.
Nice.
Which is good. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, just throw it in his face. Why don't Oh, sorry that yours didn't work
I'm
out,
down.
but mine's to the
I'm
moon.
down.
Listen,
I was at the peak high when I was on here, all excited. I'm counting money before it even happens. I already know what I'm going to do.
You already have it right.
I already know what assets I'm going to try to acquire with this and try to. Yeah. But now it's like it's less, so I'm staying put. I haven't moved, so I haven't even done anything to the house since then. I've been a little bit of not depressed, but should have done it then. You know what I mean? Struck while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 20/20, right?
That's it, man. That's it.
Hey, the tattoo. Hey. Yo, I also want to bring up something from last time, and this is kind of going to be like the general
Format.
Yeah, it's kind of looking back. But just to kind of go back on what we were saying about looking back from the last year and how things kind of have changed. Like I said at the beginning, I've been doing a lot of meditation, and so when I listen back, Andrew's like, "Yo, we should listen back to the first episodes, get some information, and kind of brush up on what we talked about." And one thing when I heard, it was something that you said about the puzzle, right? And you had used it as an analogy to kind of to when you see the puzzle, when you get the box, you can see the whole thing. So when you're putting it together, if you put a piece there and it could fit, the shape could fit, but it obviously doesn't match because kind of generally the colors, obviously what the box looks like. So when I listen back to it, right now where I'm at is everything I'm doing is trying to focus and trying to find my vision, trying to I've even done a bunch of little things to try and help me, try to basically figure out in the future what it's going to look like, and to literally sit down when I meditate and literally imagine events actually happening. And so that when I listened back to it and I heard that, I was like, holy shit, that's exactly where I'm at. It makes 100% more sense than when I heard it originally. So just to kind of touch on that, one question is that what you meant when you brought up the analogy? Were you meaning actually the importance of trying to find a vision? And B, if that is so, what do you do to try and limit the distractions? And I don't know if you meditate, but do you have anything that you do to help you?
Well, first part of that, I think when I use that analogy, it's more along the lines of you can see what the puzzle is going to be at the end of it, but you have to put one piece at a time, right? Okay. And you don't know how they got in each place as you're doing it. You're just putting them there. And then when it's done, you can see the final picture and look back and understand why each piece went in its place. Okay. And I think over the last year, I've these milestones and mental awareness, right? I've had a much more awareness of what's making me happy and a purpose, because we do get in this grind and we keep going and you putting these pieces together and you don't really know what it's for. But the way that I'm wired, and I'm sure it's the same, everyone in this room is the same way. And that's why we're friends, it's you don't know why you're doing it. You just can't help but to do it. You can't sit still with all the pieces out. You have to start putting them in a place. And I'm huge on analogies. If you listen to the last episode,
Yeah.
it's probably 70% of it's analogies. But as you were saying that, I'm thinking it's like almost like I play video games, things like that, and you get like checkpoints.
Yeah.
On a real hard point, you're like, I got to make this checkpoint because I might not finish it tonight, but I'm going to come back and it will help me start from this point. And I feel like me over this last year, I've had these milestones, whether it's losing that contract, having this time of not knowing, am I good enough? Did I get these contracts by just luck, or do I have a skill? Things like that. Each time that you move forward from it and like that worry doesn't exist because you do have something to offer. And guess what? Something else came in line and another piece went in. That's like a checkpoint for me, right? So I can look back. I don't have to go past that point, beyond in like failures or like frustration, anxieties, because I knew I made it past that. Right. So that's like where I mark it. And then I'll go through more things and you'll hit like a second checkpoint where you get a little more clarity in your life. You get a little more understanding of what you're trying to accomplish for yourself to be happy, whether it's a financial goal makes you happy, whether it's waking up and just being able to wake up with like a smile on your face. Is that the point? Right. And how do you accomplish that point to get where you want to be?
Yeah, that's a little bit different, but I definitely see what you mean. Like as far as the checkpoints, it kind of once you reach like a certain point, it's almost like there's like not really like you don't go backwards.
No, there's no point to go back. Just keep moving forward and understand how you got to that last point, and you learned all that. You know,
that's interesting, man. Maddie, you also said something in there that I want to bring up too in your episode, which was you were talking about your job at the time and. How you had made a switch. So you were at the peak of the golf course, right? Mm-hmm. You were making really good money. And as far as making the transition into the new job, you did it because you took a big pay cut, but you did it because there was more growth, more potential for growth.
Right.
And, that is like such an interesting topic to me because it's almost like some people would just live their entire lives at that peak or their like version of that peak. And just live there forever and be okay with that, but you saw that there was potential growth. You saw that there was room for growth. And so you took that, uncomfortable transition and you made it work. So one, I just want to ask, looking back, like he said, hindsight is 2020, looking back, are you satisfied with that decision? And kind of like take us through this past year and kind of like with work, how things have changed in your life personally.
But be careful because your boss listens. And he
Hey,
he heard you say
really?
pay cut last time, and he was like,
Yeah,
man, he got a little upset.
He's got some balls, huh?
I got a text like literally 5 minutes
Really?
after that. Yeah. No, he was just busting chops, man. He's a really good friend of mine. No, it's been phenomenal, man. And that's to say the least. It's initially when I took that step, it was a major risk, and I was scared to death. Scared to death because at the time when I was at a golf course, it was a service level position. However, it was extremely comfortable for me because I was able to come and go as I please. I mean, it was just like a well-oiled machine for me. So and I was financially stable, and I was able to kind of multiply in different areas and, have side hustles and do all that kind of stuff where, at most places that are in that industry, they really wouldn't allow that. So it was kind of a freelancing place to work. And I was able to, take advantage of a lot of them opportunities. And like I said, I'm very grateful for that. However, I always wanted to do something I never thought I could do. And one of them things was one day having a professional level job. Yeah. Because, I see my brother do it. My oldest brother, Ricky, he's an attorney. I seen him go through a lot of school. He does very well for himself right now, but I know the hard work that went in. So fast forward a little bit, this year's been great, man. It's been a lot of growing pains. And that's to say the least. Yeah. Because I didn't know what I was getting into. I was kind of like, golf course guy. You know what I mean? I had to have jokes. I had to tell you who was the favorite in the Monday Night Football game. So it was a little more like street corner neighborhood kind of lifestyle, right? Which I was good at. That was kind of my comfort spot. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, moving to that kind of industry was tough, and I had no idea. But like the fortunate thing is that shout out to my boss who listens. I have a lot of really good people that mentor me through that process, man, and I can't let that go because it's not just me.
Right.
And I say that because I work for a thriving company that has had substantial growth in the last year, and I've been a part of that. And with that said, the everyday hustle. Here we go. The only thing I did right was I showed up every day.
Yeah.
I never called out because of a fucking headache. You know what I mean? I got up and I took an Advil. If I had to stay late, I stayed late, and it's been able to really pay dividends in my life and in my workplace. So, like I said, it's been good. I'm not the most computer savvy, but now I'm on a computer every day, so I know how to send emails, make PDFs, all that kind of crazy shit.
Excel.
I know it sounds sad.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for me. I'm the 2-finger pecker when I type, but I'll get it done. I can guarantee you that. But no, it's been really good, and I'm just going along for the ride. And as scary as it was, it's a lot worth it now. Because at times I did. Kind of doubt it because it was a major setback. But as much as a setback it was, it's been an extreme amount of growth.
Yeah, man, I gotta say, I mean, you sound like the same guy because I know you, before the work. But I mean, from the transition into the year, I mean, you look like a new guy. You can
Yeah, he walked in the door. I wanted to just give him my money.
Pictures, like we're gonna post a picture. We're gonna post a picture for everyone to see. Of us before the episode.
Transformation Tuesday.
You can look at the ones
Transformation
from last
Tuesday.
episode. My man's in here in blazer and a V-neck, loafing.
Yo,
You know
getting
what I'm
it.
saying?
Trying,
Getting
man.
it.
About
Getting
that
it.
Trying.
He smells
Yeah.
nice.
He's
looking
smells-
right.
Yeah,
I
man.
didn't know if it
Type
was my
beard
Christmas
line.
tree or him, but it was him.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
All
man.
right, keeping it moving here, Dennis. You said success. Quote: "Success is waking up and doing what you want." Freedom.
Ooh.
Are you living up to that today?
It's hard because money plays a role in that ability, right? Like if I won the lottery tomorrow, right? Yeah, I can wake up and do whatever I want, whatever that is. But we have financial responsibilities. We have a mortgage. We have all this. So you have to be able to make sure that you have a roof over your head and all that. Before that contract ended, I was like, oh, by the end of 2 years, I can kind of do whatever I want, really. I'll be able to stack up and make moves and whatever I need to. And when that ended abruptly, your vision, your plan, comes to a screeching halt. And I ended up taking another position with a friend of mine's company, and it was more than 50% less pay, right? But the terms of coming on were like my terms, right? It was like, hey, I know I bring value to the table, and I know my value is valued at this because I just had a contract at that much, but I'm willing to take half of that. And the reason I was willing to take half of it was for quality of life.
For that freedom.
For that freedom, right? And this last year, I've had so many moments of just that moments, right? And I remember I was texting, I was like, dude, I really think I figured out like the meaning of life. And I'm not like a deep person like that, but I think I found the meaning of my life by doing that, and now I don't wake up stressed, like hating, going in. And when I go in, I'm like, why am I doing this? It doesn't matter if it was $1 million a year paycheck. Why am I doing this? Because the side effects of that was I'm a shitty husband. I'm a bad brother. I'm a worse friend, and I hate myself. And through that transition, I went like 3 months with nothing. I was like, I need to breathe. I need to figure this out. And I didn't just sit in one spot. I was out. I'm talking to people. I'm talking to people who I know are doing things with their life and I see as successful or growing. And just, I think like, you were saying the other day, like you are the equation of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, right? Water seeks its own level. And in that 3-month time frame, I didn't hang around with people who were also didn't have a job, and also were like, why did this happen to me? And why are my cards this way? I was like reaching out to people who I know are successful and know are doing it and grinding. I was like, what are you doing today? Hey, can we hang out? All right, let's do this. And I got myself in a spot now where, yeah, I'm making a lot less than I was last year. But dude, I'm happy. Like I don't walk in at the end of the day when I come home and I park my car in the driveway. And from me taking this position now, I haven't walked in the door on the phone once. Like I'm able to walk in the door, and when I see my wife, give her a hug without being distracted and my attention there, right? If there's an issue going on with my family, I can be there. And I feel like that's That's the freedom. It's not doing whatever you want, like, hey, I can go skydiving today, something like that. But the ability to be there because I choose to be there. And I'm not being pulled away because of my duty somewhere else to make somebody else rich, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, the answer was yes and no. You know?
Yeah. I guess to sum it up, I wanted to give you a little detail behind it, you know?
Yeah, no, that was
I like that.
incredible. And then, Matt, you talked about your GED and how it was one of the major fulfillments in your life, right? Mm-hmm. And you felt like when you walked through that and you got through that you could achieve and accomplish whatever you wanted. In the past year, have you hit any milestones or any achievements that were as grand as that one?
I don't know. That's a great question. Probably not. And the reason why is, and I've been able to achieve, quite a few things, but maybe not on that level because that was so big to me at that time.
Yeah.
That was monumental.
Yeah.
I mean, because that was at a point in my life where I really didn't believe in myself because here I am, I'm studying, long division and periodic table of elements, and the people that are my age are getting ready to walk with a cap and gown for their bachelor's. So at that point, when I put in the work, that was the first time in a while, I guess in my adult life, that when I put in the work, I got results. Mm-hmm. So, to say if there was a milestone that matches, I guess the greatness of that, probably not, but I hope one day, I'll be able to fulfill that for sure.
Probably when you cruise across that stage and grab that bachelor's.
That's going to be the feeling for sure. Because like work milestones have been reached and I've been grateful for them. Yeah. But that was such a personal thing that I had between my ears of kind of like what Dennis was saying, like beating myself up with the bat, you know what I mean? And I was able to kind of put the bat down and say, you know what, you can do it. And from that point forward, a lot of doors opened. And I believed in myself to finally fucking walk through them because of that.
Yeah, we all know, like we all had kind of like rough backgrounds. So I understand that in the fact that it was monumental because of where you were at in your life now, and when you look back at things, 5-6 years from now, you might see monumental pieces that you might not recognize.
Exactly.
But you never know. Awesome.
Yeah, and just to kind of before I move forward, do you ever like visualize you walking across the stage?
I do, because I've been going to school for longer than 4 years, because of schedules and stuff, and also maybe not doing so good in the class and have to take it over again. I'm definitely not an A student. However, I think about that a lot, dude. It's part of the dream, man. There's a couple things that everybody has their list on things that they want to do, and that's been at the top of it for quite some time, man. And I just always wanted to walk down. I don't know what it's going to feel like. I don't know what I wear underneath. I don't know like if I'm going to get like some kind of metal around it. I don't know if I'm going to be the one guy that like, am I going to be the one guy that doesn't have a medal or graduate with some sort, you know what I mean? So I don't know. All I want to do is like throw the hat in my hair, or throw the hat in the air and like, see my mom. That's all. But I think about it a lot. All the time.
That's one thing like with the whole vision thing is just that's what I keep hearing a lot is people when they see it, they feel it, they feel the emotions as if it's actually happening, and it just helps you put it into the atmosphere. It helps you kind of let your body get a taste of what it's going to be like,
right.
And it kind of gives you more energy.
1,000%. But it's funny because the school thing for me is a real struggle for me right now, man, and it's hard to juggle, and I've been like, dude, on a super struggle with it, dude, and just to get that out in the universe, man, because I have a job that has afforded me a lot of opportunity, and the future and the amount of growth is easy to see.
Yeah.
However, it's like, how do I juggle that? Do I go and take a meeting at Wednesday night because the meeting can, add to my monthly income?
Right.
Or do I go study for this exam? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to juggle, like, do I take 2 classes? Should I take 3? Well, I can't because I'm at the point now where, in sales and, account management where I'm trying to build my book. Right. So that does have to be number one priority. However, school is still a top priority. So it's a battle, man. It is. And sometimes I do beat myself up a lot that, I should be done by now. Or why didn't I just grind it out and get it over with? But I have to juggle a lot of things, and I don't want one egg to break because I'm, sitting there babying the other. You know what I mean? So It's been getting there, dude. But one day it's going to happen, and I'm not going to stop until I get there. It's just I'm not going to go as fast as I thought that I once was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I find that interesting. But
yeah, it's a hot topic. We talk about it all the time on the show, education. But and I also think that your development in the past year is probably your mind's probably telling you that you don't need it.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Because of what you're accomplishing with your career and your work and your self development, all this stuff. Why the fuck do I got to go to college?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, and that's part of the struggle.
Yeah.
But like, and I look back, and I'm not the guy that's like, you have to go to school. I never really believed in it. I just wanted to give myself one challenge and cross that off the list. And when I first started the process of like making goals, it was always on that list. And then, not having a high school diploma and like going that route. So now I like don't want to stop.
Right.
But I kind of do because the care and the urgency isn't there.
Right.
Because at one point the urgency was there. I'm sweating my ass off at a golf course. I'm like, I'm going to get my finance degree, work for Morgan Stanley, trade stocks, and do all. You know what I mean? And now it's like, not that dream's not there, but it's not as relevant as it once was. So, dude, that's great. That's great that you picked that up because that's exactly what it is. And like I said, and I'll stop with this, is that I don't think that. I mean, education to me was very important. I know a lot of people that have it and didn't have it, and they're both successful. But I know that for me, I'd be a liar if I didn't tell you that I personally really needed it. Now, am I using specific things that I've learned? No, but I'm learning how to like get stuff done on time. Task management. How to navigate through Excel, emails. Dude, I didn't know. When I mean to tell you, I didn't know any of that, and was very embarrassed that I didn't. I'm glad I got that polishing job, man. Because if I didn't, I would have walked into this job and probably walked right out. Because I wouldn't be able to handle anything.
Yeah, I remember when you first started the whole
Dude,
Excel. You're like stoked when you figure out Excel. It's like, dude, hell yeah.
It's like magic. Excel,
right.
when you figure it out.
Yeah, and then it's so funny how the mind develops. I remember somebody's like, you can make another tab in Excel.
I learned a pivot table this year and it blew my mind.
And here's the deal, you're never going to learn everything. It's like the most complex thing ever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I know, and then I'll sit down with somebody else and they just blow my mind.
It's a sick joke.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, Dennis, you in your episode, you had a quote that was actually one that we've used a lot, which is money is a byproduct, it's not the purpose. And I think just based off listening to you now in this episode, it's a lot more clear. And not only that, but like for myself this past year, I've been working for an AC company, and like originally when I first started, like my whole idea, and it's still like part of it is like I'm thinking about like ways to like kind of maneuver, and I have like this goal, like this money goal in my mind, just to put out in the universe, just to like something that I want to work for, just for that financial freedom. But also like in this last couple months, that I've been doing, kind of like sitting down and kind of trying to think and think about what actually makes me happy. And it is leaning more towards, giving back and not really so much all the extra stuff and all the like, getting the extra, So as far as for yourself, you said now you've kind of gotten back to the, not the roots, but you've gotten to a point where you kind of realize yourself a little bit more with that break in that last job. Is there anything that you've like realized like in this past year on like more of like a major scale that you're kind of like thinking, you know what, that might not be it, this might be it, like something along those lines?
Yeah. I'll bring it back up again. It's one word, like moments.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I've always wanted to be that. And just because I guess I didn't know, like I don't come from money, and I don't have the education and things like that. And I feel like nice things make me feel good or put a status on me, right? Like the vehicle doesn't make a man, that type of thing, which I exercised, this last year. Like I had this sick truck. I really wanted it. It was super limited edition. Andrew was at the dealership with me all day. A year later, I got rid of it, and I'm so happy with what I have right now. But on a much bigger scale, internally, I guess in my mind, I figured out what I want to accomplish until like my last breath, and it's not a career choice. It's not this. I just need to make sure I have the means to accomplish more moments.
Yeah.
And when I say moments, it could be anything from seeing the sunrise on the beach, and it takes 3 seconds, and the light just barely peeks through the cloud a certain way that you've never seen before, and it makes you feel a funny way, like tingles, like that's a moment to me. Or, seeing something for the first time with a friend, right? Or the look on someone's face, like with Scurf, right? Like that moment of him realizing that he's better than what he thought he was going to be his entire life, and like knowing he can accomplish something. And I even had the slightest piece of that. That to me is another moment. And it's just constantly seeking. And I'm quoting this actually. I thought this, and I heard somebody else share it actually on the Joe Rogan podcast last year from me being on a podcast, never listening to him. Now that's all I listened to on the drive. And they were talking about just constantly seeking elevated moments in your life, right? And that's what it stacks up. So how is my picture book going to look in my mind when I lay my head down for the last time, right? Is it going to be just coming into the office and how many commas are in my bank account? Because that's what I thought it was going to be, right? And what's that going to do? No, like I just need to make sure I have the means to be able to constantly seek elevated moments. And yeah, money has some things to do with that. Like I want to see a waterfall, in the woods that it's not a tourist attraction, right? Something cool like that off the beaten path. I'm going to need money to get there, right? How do I do it? And it's, if we look back on the last couple years, it was like just a money chase, and I felt that's what dictated it. And I realized that it's not anymore. And like I just need enough to be okay. And at the end of the day, if everything went away, like, am I still going to be all right? And I've made a lot of changes, whether it's financial responsibility with vehicles, how much debt am I carrying? Like, because if I'm carrying debt, I don't really have a position to create more moments, right? I want to clear myself out of everything. And so that anytime if I'm making a decision and I'm doing something, it's my decision to do it. And it's not like I'm doing this, but I'm going to have to pay for it the rest of my life.
Have you ever considered meditation? Like looked into it or anything like that?
I mean, not like guided meditation type things, but I feel like I drive an hour 30 minutes every day to and from an office. That's my meditation, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The moments I'm with myself, the moment the phone isn't in my hand, even sitting here in between just listening to you guys talk when you're not asking me a question, that's to myself, and I feel like that's my form of what it is and helps me get my mind right.
Yeah, because that's been like a huge part so far for me. Like in this past month is just it's just crazy how much of a break you give yourself, and like how much more you allow the thoughts to kind of just flow without any distraction. Because I don't know, it's kind of interesting to me.
Before you move on to Matt, I gotta chime in on this real quick, because this is directly correlated to what he was saying and something that we were both directly involved in, right? So my 30th birthday, which was 2 years and 2 months ago, me, Dennis, and a group of our inner circle who were all still close. We celebrated my 30th birthday and Dennis's wife's 30th birthday in the Virgin Islands, which is, part of the United States, but still, it was a fucking process to get 10 people there, flying, ferries, boats, taxis, fucking people not knowing what the fuck they're doing. And we all made it there, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. I mean, it was probably to this day the sickest trip that we've been on. That was a moment, right? And then we had, this year was one guy in that circles. Actually, it was a few weeks ago. It was his 30th birthday, right? And we had a moment, it was at a restaurant, but I was thinking, I was like, damn, for my 30th birthday, this whole table of people, minus a few select people who come in and out. Right. But this whole group of people we were in the United States, but it was another country, you know what I'm saying? And then this year for your birthday, we're out to dinner. And I was like, I feel bad, because like I wish that we could have created a moment like this, another moment to do for your birthday right now in this time. And he was like, dude, it's okay, like at that point in time we were all kind of up. Yeah. We were doing things that we were all up. We were in a position where we could do that. Right. This year it's a little different, and then next year or that next milestone, hopefully we'll be able to create another moment. So it was like we had a moment. We were in a restaurant and we were bonding together as friends, and then we took a picture in front of the Christmas tree. It was a nice night. It was very, very different. Times were different, but it was still another moment.
Right.
And I think that I needed him to tell me, like, hey, like, it's okay, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's okay that we're not, you know, we didn't fly, you know, 2-3 hours into the tropics, you know, like, we're still here, we're still together, you know, and next time we'll make another moment when we're all up again, which will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting to be like conscious of that and to be able to think about that, and that's interesting. But to tie that also, because I mean I think this whole thing is kind of going in the same direction. But Matt, you had a quote in your episode, and it was the goal is to find out what the goal is. And again, just like with Dennis's quotes, like when I was there and I heard it, I was like, damn, this is sick. Like I was fired up, but I didn't have like time to process it. Or, you know, to really think about it. And I think also is like the place I was in at that point was I probably wasn't like really 100% ready to listen to it or to get it. But now I'm in a place where I really do get it. And it's like, that's like exactly where I'm at right now. And that's why I'm doing all this extra shit, is to try to like really like sit down and like really think about, you know, I don't want to like just continue to waste time. Not that this is all like a waste, but I don't want to just continue to, you know, go chasing something if it's not something that's actually going to make me happy. So just to kind of like touch on that, is that what you meant, like when you say the goal is to find out what the goal is?
Exactly. I mean now I can tell you that and kind of to piggyback off what Dennis said, that made a lot of sense to me, dude. And you know, I respect that, like making moves to be realistic, you know what I mean, and making mistakes on what you thought was important, and I can definitely agree with that, dude. And but what I can say is that, you know, the goal is ultimate happiness, at least for me. But what specific things
does that
as we
look
talk
like,
about,
right?
Yeah, what specific things is it going to take me to get happy? And now it's to the point where I think I have a pretty good idea. You know, I'm 29 years old. I think I have a pretty good idea on what things are going to make me happy. But on a daily basis, that changes.
Right.
Kind of the back with what you said. And I mean, I can tell you what makes me happy now is completely different to what I thought would make me happy 2 years ago. So at this point, it's still kind of, you know, I'm trying to be a sponge and trying to soak up as much information as I can by, you know, the friends and the family and the people that I love that are around me to find out what's going to make me happy. Is some of it financial, and maybe is some of it, you know, things that I have? Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the equation. You know, having good relationships in my life, being able to show up, you know, what ways are going to make me smile? You know, I've probably been traveling more than I've ever have because of work and because of personal interests. So that stuff makes me happy. I never really had experienced, you know, going to see other places. I mean, I grew up in an area where, you know, you really didn't leave. You know, the Jersey Shore, where he's from, is the biggest vacation you took every year.
Yeah.
And then I come down here, see South Florida. Now I'm able to see some different places. Now I can say that part of happiness or that part of interest that I like to do was without a doubt not on my list because I had no idea that it could be on my list.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's dude, that's kind of where I'm at, and that's a fully loaded, you know, thing to talk about because there's so many different angles on what to really, you know, pay attention to. But like I said, to circle back, it's happiness, man, and I have a pretty good idea on what's going to make me happy. Now I got to find the path to success to be able to meet them certain goals, to meet the ultimate goal, which is to lay in my bed, put my head on the pillow, and smile, knowing that I'm where I want to be. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it happens on a daily basis, and sometimes it doesn't. But the goal is to have that, you know, more times than none.
And do you, just to kind of stick with that, do you have anything that you like do, or is there any like idea or concept that like meditation or you know, different variations of like how to set goals and like do you have anything that you kind of like want to try in your life, or maybe something that would help you figure that out?
Yeah, and that's that's a good one. I like that kind of stuff because with that said, do I know what I want to try? No. Am I willing to try anything? Yes. And I mean that in a way of just trying to be as humble as I can possibly be and remain teachable.
Yeah.
Because if I and this has happened, the reason why I'm saying this is because this has happened in my life before, where I think I know something and somebody could be there giving me the key to the ultimate answer that I've been looking for, but I'm too, my head's stuck so far up my ass that I can't even be able to comprehend what he's talking about. So I try my best and fall short at times to be as teachable as I can, because there's been people around me that have given me so many opportunities that, if my eyes are closed and my ears are shut, I'm not going to be able to notice that that's even going on. So to have any specific plans to go seek out to something or somewhere or somebody to help me reach them goals, not necessarily yet, but I'm always open-minded. I mean, like we talked about last time when we were here, I love goals lists. Yeah, I do. I like to cross them off and then carry them over. And sometimes some carry over for long periods of time. But yeah,
still
man.
Put the Post-its on the dash and the new BMW.
Oh,
Dude, the Post-its are there, man.
I'm gonna come outside and see. I need to touch one.
Verification.
They're there.
I feel it.
Yeah, man, that stuff fires me up, man. Just like trying to seek out just to see if it works. Like, we've been talking, and you watch Impact Theory, I'm sure, all the time, or you've watched it. And I'm late to the party, but it's a YouTube series. And dude, it's almost like having a different mentor every single time I watch it. And they have certain things that work for them. It may not work for me, but I'm just starting to think let me try it, basically. Right. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's the shit, and I think about it all the time. It's like you're sitting there watching it, you're like, is this borderline cheesy or fucking are they out of their minds, or does this shit really work? I watched an interview with Ed Milet, if you guys know who he is, and Rob Dyrdek. And Rob Dyrdek is one of those guys, you see him on Fantasy Factory skateboard and this and that. He's always clowning around, but if you watch an interview with him on some serious shit,
he's on the next level,
dude.
Bro,
he's
super elevated.
If anyone who is listening to this episode hasn't watched some content from Rob Dyrdek, not with him and his cousin in the skate park and shit like that, but interviews with him talking about his story and how he got to where he is and the mindset and all that stuff, you have to check it out. Ed Milet was a big guy in the fitness industry, and he has a show called Max Out, and he did an interview with Rob Dyrdek. So if you want something good to start with watching, check that out. But the goals thing is good, and we're going to segue into this, and we're going to wrap it up. I mean, this episode is chocked full of good stuff for people to apply into their life, and that's what, I've kind of turned over a new leaf with the podcast, right? We had people on. We would kind of, fart around. We would ask questions, have a casual conversation. But we cut that shit out. I'm doing I want 20, 30-minute episodes. Obviously, this was a different scenario, but I want people to be able to put the podcast on, listen to 15, 20 minutes of it, car ride, short, whatever it is, and take something from it and be able to apply it into their life. And that's what I want to accomplish with this. I want people to benefit from it. Anybody who listens to it, I want them to be able to be okay, I'm going to take this shit, I'm going to try it in my life and see what happens, But, we had the goals in this episode. Was it in Dennis's episode, Chris?
I think so.
Where we talked about goals, right? And I'm really fired up on this, right? Because I'm the only one that hit my goal. All right. Christian's goal was to read 12 books.
Hey, didn't happen.
He turned one
right?
page. Which is 3 or 4 more than you would have read if you didn't have the goal.
4 or 5.
Good shit. Okay.
4 or 5.
Jesse's goal was to backflip a jet ski. I seen him out there. If he was here,
he got close. He got close. He got a little close.
He accidentally went upside down.
Can I ask, because I don't have as much experience on a jet ski, what's close to a backflip? How do you come close?
3/4.
No, he ate it every time he tried?
No, I was completely joking.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started trying, you would land upside down, land on your back, whatever. He didn't even get that far. So I mean, he was probably an eighth of the way there.
Yo, Jesse,
getting on your jet ski and starting it. All right, and then my goal was to have a functioning business.
Yeah,
2019.
Get it.
2018. I already had 2.
Boom. Get it.
Functioning businesses.
Nice.
Podcast is generating revenue. The photo video business is generating revenue, and the juice bar is open and functioning, which, I had a vision in my mind of me going to work there every day, driving into my truck, picking up produce, making fucking smoothies.
Get it.
And I'm doing it now.
Yeah.
which is great, but I'm ready to evolve that into something bigger.
Yeah.
So
Did you sell yourself short? You said 2, but you labeled 3 revenues. I think you sold yourself short. You got 3.
You said 2.
And then you
then
then you
podcast
listed
Podcasting
3.
and photo video, I labeled.
Oh,
as
label
one. I
as
ran
2.
that as one.
So
That's
2
nice
point.
design.
So you have
Nice
2.5. We'll say.
Yeah,
2.5.
2.5.
Or
Okay.
1AB too.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
So, all right, guys, I think we got enough there. We're going to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone who's listened to the podcast, supported us over the last year. If you haven't gone back and checked out some of the previous episodes, I highly recommend you do that, and you can kind of cross-reference them to these episodes. You can see the growth.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that there's no benefit to doing a podcast or doing YouTube or doing these things that people might not watch or hear, but I mean you could look at our statistics and it average ours is small, it's nothing, right? Well, I shouldn't even say that, but average 30 to 50 downloads per episode, right? And there's 50 episodes.
Yeah,
right?
That's
so
crazy.
If you think about that, we had to have impacted somebody.
Yeah.
One person.
Shit, me.
One person.
You
Myself.
impacted me being here.
You got one
right here.
Exactly. So if I guess the reason why I'm saying this is because if you are thinking about starting a project, if you have an idea and you're thinking, should I execute on it, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it costs. It doesn't matter if you have time, if you don't have time. Sacrifice, give something up, shift some things around, start a podcast, start the company, start a business, take the idea and really execute on it.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed. I
You'll
guarantee you
you'll
that. You have
surprise
4
yourself.
people- exactly. There's 4 people right here who can attest to that. But thank you for listening to the podcast. Subscribe, leave us a rating, leave us some feedback. Anything that you can do to help us keep moving forward on the journey. The comments give us energy, and we appreciate everyone. And let's give a round of applause again for Dennis and Matt.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Bye bye.